Hello and welcome to my Read Aloud channel. And I am back. So I'm really glad to have you here with me today. I have not been recording my videos as of late. I've taken another week off. I feel like I did this recently. But yeah, I had excused myself for the weekend after my last video because I knew it was going to be busy, and I had another busy weekend, but through the week I just didn't know I wouldn't get to it each day for weeks straight. So I apologize for that because I know if I take a break and I'm encouraging daily reading, if you are doing that, that throws things off as far as coordinating, But I will say that I've been doing my daily reading. So for you as well, I encourage you to continue to do your daily reading. And then hopefully, if some of that time coordinates, or if you find that, you would like to hear me read it aloud and do any commentary, here, it's always nice to have something read twice, at least. And that's how I'm feeling as I'm going back over it after having read it through myself. I'm getting more, and then I'm able to maybe answer questions that I have for myself and others at the same time. So I hope that this is working for you in a good way as well. And last time I stopped on chapter 17, verse 40, the end of the verse 40, where it says, he put them in. Let me just read verse 40. Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, approached the Philistine. Verse 41. Meanwhile, the Philistine, with his shield bearer in front of him, kept coming closer to David. He looked David over. You just imagine that, right? And saw that he was little more than a boy, glowing with health and handsome, and he despised him. He said to David, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. "Come here," he said, "and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." David said to the Philistine, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." I love that. That's just, I wish I could have read it more. Just, even a better reading of it, because not so stunted. Because it's so powerful, and really beautiful to think about the truth of, right? Like, this very day, well, not that I'll give the carcasses to the birds of the air, or they'll eat the carcasses so much, but the fact that he says, "I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty," and the fact that he says, you all those gathered here will know, this is my testimony, that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. It's by his Spirit. That is awesome. Or for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands. But basically that's what he's saying is by the Lord coming and doing what only God can do. As the Philistine, this is verse 48. As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone. Without a sword in his hand, he struck down the Philistine and killed him. David ran and stood over him. He took hold of the Philistine's sword and drew it from the sheath. After he killed him, he cut off his head with the sword, as he said he would. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran. Then the men of Israel and Judah surged forward with a shout and pursued the Philistines to the entrance of Gath and to the gates of Ekron. Gath is another word, is a Hebrew word for valley, of a valley. All right. And to the gates of Ekron. Their dead were strewn along the Shaaraim road to Gath and Ekron. When the Israelites returned from chasing the Philistines, they plundered their camp. David took the Philistines' head and brought it to Jerusalem. He put the Philistines' weapons in his own tent. As Saul watched David going out to meet the Philistine, he said to Abner, commander of the army, "Abner, whose son is that young man?" Abner replied, "As surely as you live, your majesty, I don't know." The king said, "Find out whose son this young man is." As soon as David returned from killing the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul, with David still holding the Philistine's head. "Whose son are you, young man?" Saul asked him. David said, "I am the son of your servant Jesse of Bethlehem." And that is the end of chapter 17 of 1 Samuel. I'm forgetting. Okay, so yes, we are in the thick of things in the book of 1 Samuel, and I would love to continue a daily reading with you. Wherever you're at, I would love you to check in and hear where I'm reading each day, and if there are questions that you have about that particular part of scripture, please share, and I will do my best to find answers, and any other comments that you have about daily Bible reading, reading aloud, would be so much appreciated, and I will hope to speak or to correspond with you soon. Good night.